G'day my lovelies, my name is Maddie and I'm here to talk about my Undertale AU called Revoltale, specifically for Many a Night's Undertale fan game, where he is holding a competition where you talk about your AU and what side they would be on, Ink or Error. And so I'm doing this today, and I'm also just going to quickly plug, go check out the Undertale fan game. It's currently only in its first demo, but there is an update coming out on the 1st of October, and it's looking fantastic. The whole thing looks amazing, and there's so much work and money and passion that's gone through this, and so checking it out would be fantastic. Go follow its Tumblr, go check out its YouTube. The music is amazing, oh my god. Heart literally stops every time I hear it. Check out their Discord, I'll link it all below. I'm doing that YouTube, point down to the description thing, you can't see me though. And check them out because it's really cool. So I'm doing it partly for this competition, and also just because I love talking about my AU. I'm passionate about it, I love it. They're my babies, all the characters. And so let's get right into it. So I will talk a little bit about what the actual AU is like. I'll try not to go into too much detail because I don't want this being too long. So Revoltale is an Undertale AU based heavily on the effects of story changes to the iconic characters' personalities that we all know and love. In this AU, it's been discovered that a certain amount of monster souls equates to the same as one human soul, similar to the actual game. And despite all the time that has passed, only 3 human souls have been collected successfully, those being kindness, integrity, and justice. Desperate, King Nazgul decrees that for the good of monsterkind, all children will be brought to the capital in order to harness their souls to free themselves. In other words, he was saying in the most politically correct way possible that we are stealing your children from your homes and slaughtering them in order to use their souls. So it obviously sounds like a fantastic plan. But that was years ago. With all the time that's passed, many children have been slaughtered and taken from their families for the cause of monsterkind, with a large culture being created around having to have children in order to help the cause. However, obviously not everyone is happy. So a group of rebels has risen to fight for change and to find a way to get out of the underground without sacrificing the lives of hundreds of children. And so naturally this group of rebels is inclusive of a lot of the main cast, you know, Sans, Papyrus, Toriel, Undyne, Alphys a little bit later. And so it's fun to talk about, but it is a little dark, and one of the characters I want to focus on is Scout, who's Sans, naturally, because it's an Undertale AU, why wouldn't I focus on Sans? And so Sans in this is called Scout, that's his nickname, partly for that sort of give all the Sanses and Papyrus nicknames so you can distinguish between the two, but also because his role as part of the rebellion is a scout and the intel dude to make sure that things are safe when people go in to save the kids, to make sure that none of their bases are going to be attacked. But he also does his own stuff on the side. And after some discoveries, he found out that AUs exist. He doesn't know to what extent, he doesn't know things exactly, but it's along the lines of the multiverse theory, which if you don't know about it, I might link a thing to it in this description also, but it's basically you have one thing that happens, and because of that one thing it all ripples off and creates a different timeline almost. So if I grab my pencil and I drop it, that creates a different one to one where I either didn't pick up the pencil or I picked it up and just held it. And those would ripple on to have different effects. Although you can probably not imagine what sort of effects that would have, it would be quite minor. But more larger scale things having those effects is what's created Revoltale, and then what's also, in my mind, created other AUs. And so Sans also bases himself off that belief and goes, okay, well if that's how it works, there must be places that are so much better than here, places where children aren't dying, places where he's possibly a lot more happy than he is, where Papyrus is not in a situation he has to be in where he's having to save children for a living from being slaughtered, and where he didn't really get to live a happier sort of early life because of this fear. and where he has to look after distressed children all the time, and where children aren't slaughtered, and where they possibly even got out of the underground. And so he becomes a little jealous, in all honesty, of other AUs, because he realizes there has to be at least one place. Why couldn't they be that place? Why couldn't it, if they are eventually, why couldn't it happen sooner? Is there something he can do? And he becomes really, well, not obsessed, but he thinks about it probably more than anyone else really should. And this is where the team thing comes in. Now, I'm not sure what this teams thing's going on about, if they have to be aware of the actual characters of Ink and Error beforehand, or if something happens to make them aware. So I'm going off that, because otherwise he wouldn't be aware of either. No one would be aware in my AU of either of them. And because I think a lot of people are going to go Team Ink as much as people love Error, because their AUs are probably precious and lovely, I'm going Team Error. And it's not because the people in my AU are evil and horrible and hate AUs, even though Sans is a little jealous, but it's because of Error taking advantage of how horrible the AU actually is. And so I can just imagine Error coming into the actual AU as himself, and his usual way of going around wanting to destroy AUs, and sees the situation and how they're aware of, well, that Sans is aware that, oh wow, you must be an AU, Sans. And he basically comes in and goes, this is a place I can take advantage of. And so he basically comes in and goes, hey, I'm Error, I'm all powerful, I do the thankless job of destroying AUs, blah blah blah, as he does. But says, but you're the original timeline. And he's saying this to everyone, Sans included, like, all the little rebellion. And everyone's like, whoa, what the heck? I don't even know what you're talking about. And Sans is here like, whoa, I know what this is talking about, and I can't believe it. We're the original? And it's sort of feeding into, he has his jealousy, but if he can think of the fact that, wow, if we're the original and everything's stemming off, that means that possibly everything does go right eventually. But then Error says, because of all the AUs that have sprouted from your own timeline, because you're the original, they've begun to take prevalence to yours, and it's starting to literally pull apart your AU, and naturally it's bull. I don't think that happens. If it does, I don't know. But if it does, they don't know that, and Sans wouldn't know that because he's just making theories about this. He doesn't actually know much about any of the AUs, he just knows that they're there. And so Error's like, there's this guy named Ink, and he's out there and he's creating all these AUs, and it's literally pulling this apart. And if I don't stop him and I don't start destroying all these AUs that are literally nothing, that are never going to do anything and are just here to destroy your own, then you guys are going to stop existing. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do my job, and I came here to warn you. But if I come back and say, I need your help, you have to come. Otherwise, your AU is basically going to implode. Which is crazy. It sounds insane. And that's part of the point. It sounds so insane that it's almost like someone couldn't make it up. And Scout thinks about it and he's like, I don't know enough about this to say it doesn't make sense. And I don't want to take a risk where everything that's happened doesn't matter. Because if the place implodes, besides just being horrible, it means that they don't exist anymore. They don't escape. All those kids whose lives were taken away to try and get everyone free, they don't matter. They just died for a cause that's never going to be fulfilled. And all the kids who have gone through trauma and the parents have gone through trauma, it's all going to be for nothing. And so the others have no clue. They're like, I don't know what you're talking about. You sound like a crazy madman. You look freaky. I don't know what you're talking about. But Sans is there like, hold on guys. I know a little bit about this. And I think the best thing to do for now is to trust him. And so they go, okay, if you come back and you need our help, we will be happy to help you because we don't want to implode. And so after he leaves, Sans dedicates himself to starting to do some research more on the AUs, wanting to find out if this is actually true. And so that's sort of their stance on error. And I feel like Sans wouldn't be able to actually find a whole lot, whether because of error's tampering, because he's still able to tamper, and I'm sure, he has no care for AUs. He wouldn't care if he jumps in and ruins timelines. He wouldn't care if he jumps in and tampers with things in order to keep his story straight. And so that's basically my thoughts on it. If that's not how it goes, then I don't know, but this is how I wanted to approach it. I thought it was somewhat interesting, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it and that I didn't bore you all to death. So thank you all for listening. Once again, check out Mania Nights Undertale. I'm going to link it. I will link the game also in the description. It's on Game Jolt. You guys will be able to check it out. And so, thank you so much for listening. And I will see you maybe again. I don't know, it's just like my first YouTube video just so I could do this competition and talk about my AU. So whether I ever make another one, I don't know. This has been fun, so we'll see. Anyway, bye!